And now we invite Namita to come on stage. We'll have a panel discussion. And also I invite Mr. Ganpati Raman to the stage. And Rajesh for being here and give us very insightful thoughts. So I have a couple of questions for both of them. And my first question is to Namita. So you talked about AI adoption trends and basically covered the manufacturing industries as well, both in discrete and continuous process manufacturing. So what are the typical trends you see in this discrete and continuous process manufacturing?
Sure. Thank you. So I think, and it was a fantastic presentation, and I think a very interesting example of what is the possibility and what is the art of possible when it comes to continuous manufacturing. So, but I think Dr. Reddy's is probably leading the chart and leading the way, because what we found in our analysis between, in manufacturing between discrete and continuous is, I think where it's definitely very interesting, chemicals is where things are a little interesting. Chemical industry seems to be a little bit more conservative, I would say, because we had a strong chemicals focus in the process industry part as a sub-segment. I think they came out a little bit more conservative, if I may say, when it comes to tech spend, and that translates into how they spend on digital technologies and AI. And probably that could also be, and we were just trying to understand why that could be, is probably also because of the fact that given the rate at which the technology is changing, it's a lot more nuanced probably to apply a new technology to a process of that level of complexity. So we typically see them take on technology a little slower, especially when it comes to AI. The interesting thing that we found was we also asked about innovation and what kind of patents are companies doing when it comes to AI. There, the activity is a lot stronger, which probably also means that for AI to be very useful, maybe in the continuous manufacturing side, would require some very specific types of models, specific use cases to come out. Even if we talk about something like an agentic way of automating processes, would have to be very, very well identified, well structured across that process. So I think that was an interesting contrast. A lot of innovation and patents in AI, more so from discrete, but not too much of spend savvy, I would say. So that was a little bit of a contrast that we saw there.
Okay, that's good. I think I have a question for Rajesh. You basically talked about classical AI, then Gen AI, all this. So my question is how basically Gen AI can help in leapfrog companies where those are lagging in digitalization. Any thought on that?
Sure. So I would say specifically to maybe a little bit more about pharma, where, as I mentioned, we need to generate more papers or we need to do more documentation. And as I said, it's all about unstructured data when it comes to Gen AI, right? And that is where all the papers that generated so far, though probably you're not digitalized your shop floor with manufacturing execution system or laboratory information management system or with a document management system, etc. You still have data in the paper, right? And that is where the latest technology is actually enabling organization to digitize that data using the much better accurate OCR technologies and generate meaningful insights using Gen AI, right? So we are able to digitize the data, whatever is there in paper, using OCR, and create data sets and apply Gen AI algorithms in order to make meaningful sense of that data that has generated. Though a company who haven't invested for quite some time in the digital technologies for a long period, right? And this is where I would say Gen AI is enabling such kind of organization to leapfrog, to utilize and understand latest technologies, to understand the potential, what actually digital technologies can enable, right? We are able to get completely much better insights and surprising insights about our process, our products, right? We are able to learn our things very well, is what I would say when we use such kind of things. That's potentially is what organization will realize, and this is how technology is enabling them to reach that stage quickly, rather than building from the foundation.
Okay. Thanks, Rajesh. I think we'll open up for our audience Q&A. Please make your question a little bit brief, and please introduce yourself, and please mention to whom you are asking the question.
Myself, Sheshadri from Hindalco. My question is to Mr. Rajesh. Are you using any AI technologies for preventing counterfeiting and also in quality aspects regarding pinhole or delamination?
Sure. So counterfeit in the pharmaceutical industry, now there is a regulation. There is a regulation for serialization. Right? Every country demands serialization as an technology that need to be deployed by every pharmaceutical company. What it means is, let's say you need to, of course, in the packaging shop floor, when we are every sellable unit, there need to be an unique barcode, which need to be traceable throughout its life, and from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. That, let's say, now how that traceability need to be there when we are shipping from our shop floor to, let's say, a warehouse in US. That need to be tracked. That need to be reconciliation need to be done at that level. How many sent from here, and how many received in that warehouse, and from warehouse when it is getting to stockist. Again, reconciliation need to be done. All these need to, till it reaches to the patient, the reconciliation need to be done. And with patient also, when we are scanning it, we should be able to reach out to the data from where, in which plant, in which line this is manufactured. So that's a traceability. That's a regulation that is now deployed in pharmaceutical industry. And as I speak, US became this regulation became effective last month, in the month of May. So that's how US did, Russia did long time back, India did some time back. Our not for Indian market. That's where we should improve. Of course, I understand that there is a lot of counterfeiting that happens there. Now, when it comes to Indian usage of AI, I think we are still evolving to avoid counterfeit. And coming to quality places, yes, there is the vision. So we are able to get we are using vision, computer vision as a technology to detect all various kinds of defects in the packaging, and we reject immediately in the packaging line.
Thank you. Keshamurthy from ADA DRDO. If we introspect into the whole gamut of embracing AI in manufacturing or the process control, etc., the first thing we notice is the loss of data and the misconfigured storage solutions and the data centers availability. Now, AI is data. Without data, there is no AI use. And we have been talking about it for quite some time now, but we haven't been able to improve the infrastructure to this extent where we can use the AI apps more forcefully. So if we have to jump into that, we need to first look at the infrastructure. And that's where we are not able to sort of make a headway. Even digitalization, if you look at the whole country's approach, we are nowhere. We are still somewhere around 40-45%. So the accent is on improving the data, infrastructure and the data center. My storage solution particularly.
This is for?
This is for the general question. General question, basically for the manufacturing and the process control using AI.
You want to take this?
Sure. And we have not been able to do anything in the defense area. For example, we tried to make some apps for target identification during the last Ukraine-Russian war. We want to sort of try something like that. But to identify enemy tank or the Ukraine tank, there was a lot of confusion. I mean, we were not able to make a headway in that. That shows, we are missing the basic point of storage solutions, where the data is taken and hacked.
Yeah. No, I think a very important point that you've made, sir, and I think you were probably making that point as a comment because the first thing that we need to get right is the infrastructure in India. Even if we think about, and I think it's just recently started to happen where a lot of data center investments are coming into India. Even through the India AI mission, which has a budget of about 1.2, 1.3 billion, there is a public-private partnership modality through which data centers specific to AI usage with the GPU that the government is procuring, the set of some 17 or 18,000 GPUs that the government is procuring are going to be positioned. So there are some indigenous as well as some foreign data center companies that are coming. But to your point, exactly right, that we are far, far behind when it comes to having that infrastructure at scale. And I think it's also a little bit of a factor of, the demand. It's now that we are seeing a lot more interest and noise within India about being data ready so that we can use AI. The more that happens, obviously, that creates better demand.
Thank you, sir. Sumit from NTPC. Ma'am, this question is to you as well as to sir. Two set of questions. First to you, that is, you spoke about IT-OT integration as the core for agentic AI transformation, agentic AI inception. So what is the status of IT-OT integration as per your research in the country as of now in the various sectors? Secondly, you also spoke indicated that while transformation from IT ops to AI ops, there is a skill gap, and how to bridge that skill gap. So there are two set of questions for you. Second to sir is, you have indicated, sir, that you are making use of AI copilots, in your digitalization portfolio. So how have you developed that? Is it up and running? That's it. Thank you.
Sure. So I won't have exact, survey-based numbers for you on the IT-OT integration side just yet. But I think this is something that we did. I guess those numbers may not stand true anymore. We did this something a couple of years back, and there's the real struggle there is one. You have operational technology, right? And then IT set of applications and the whole tech stack. Now, the interesting thing that is happening with AI in manufacturing companies is, we looked at the whole budgeting and everything, great. But what happens is when you have to deploy AI, majority of the manufacturing companies put that as a prerogative of IT. Without including the operations teams. And that is where the disconnect happen. I wouldn't say that you don't have the right IT technology or the right operations technology. More and more with AI implementation, it is a factor of the tech plus the domain coming together and doing it together. And that is where we think it is failing because we don't see that happen quite a lot. To your second question, I think it kind of somewhat answers your second question, which is the IT ops and the AI ops skill gap. One thing that we've noticed, because probably, and this might not be true for all manufacturing, but some of the manufacturing subsectors have taken up digital a lot slower, right? So what has happened is that internal skill pipeline is not there. Now, AI requires a very different set of skills. It's not just about prompt engineering. It's actually for a domain, think of a domain process specialist trying to understand within my process where exactly do I apply AI, or what is it that AI can do? Can it just summarize my documentation well? If it is legal documentation, I can give it to AI, it can summarize. But if I'm looking for, and I'll just take my example as a researcher, if I'm looking for some very specific understanding from a 100-page PDF, a simple chatbot or a simple GPT is not giving me that. Even with deep reasoning, I have to question a lot. So I have to prompt a lot to get that kind of information. So for a domain specialist to understand where is AI going to make sense, they have to know AI. For an AI engineer to be able to apply and design an agent that works for a particular task, has to understand domain. Again, the most important or the crucial factor where we see the skill gap here is the tech plus domain. And this is not an easy one to answer, saying let's hire freshers, train them on domain because they come with AI skill, or let's have domain specialists train them on AI, because training on AI is not that easy. So companies will have to figure out a little bit of looking outside. And this is where we saw that manufacturing companies are not trying to hire from outside. They're trying a lot more to upskill and reskill internal people rather than acqui-hiring from a startup which is doing something in AI, or going out in the market and looking for lateral AI experts. That is an activity that is happening very low in manufacturing compared to some of the other sectors. And that is why that skill gap is probably a lot higher, because you likely don't have that pipeline to upskill and reskill at a scale that is required now. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'll try to add what exactly we are doing, probably a little bit on the first question that you asked. So when we are talking about IT/OT convergence, right? We are talking about the International Society for Automation standard that we use is ISA 88 and ISA 95. That's a standard we use, right? So level 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4 we can probably consider as IT, and 0, 1, 2 is probably we can consider as OT. Right now we are talking about in OT layer, we are talking about generating data on time series data. Every seconds or 10 seconds, etc. Data is getting generated, and how we utilize to understand in in IT place for AI and to do machine learning, or let's to apply AI tools. That's what we are actually talking about. So that's where there are technologies available. Let's say data lake, process data lakes is what we can we have done, where we integrated all OT systems to a data lake, and we are able to get the data, time series data, and on a real-time basis. And we are utilizing various correlations from that process data lake, creating products, IT products to create correlation and to understand what is actually happening in the shop floor, and to control the operations within the golden parameters for manufacturing is what actually we have done. Coming to a second question on usage of Gen AI for Copilot, as I mentioned, various personas is what we identified. She spoke about various domains within a company. You will have multiple domains. I spoke about legal, or let's say marketing, or scientist, or manufacturing, or quality, or investigations. These are various subject matter experts. We need to understand what are their specific needs or tasks or job they are doing, and how we can generate a standard, effective, maybe a little bit of critical prompts, which is actually useful, or maybe will enable them, or giving them a 90% good starting point for their activities. So that's how we utilized, or that's how actually we are utilizing the generative AI, maybe the assistants that we call it as.
Yeah. Good morning. This is question to Mr. Rajesh. I think some of it got answered in the previous question, but I would still like to check this. Since Reddy's has made a lot of inroads in getting the digital and the Gen AI, has there been any best practice in to create that data platform? I think this is the biggest challenge we face when we go for digital solutions on how to get the OT data, how to get through the IT approvals, and then the security clearance. So since you have already been in the game, has there been any best practices which have been deployed, which makes implementing newer use cases without going through all these initial pains we had when we were doing digital solutions?
Yeah, I understand. It's actually challenging. Really, really challenging, and also capital intensive. A huge amount of money need to be spent in order to, of course, upgrade the base systems, the legacy systems, or the OT systems, which actually demands huge amount of capital investment. However, for us, it was like first best practice, I would say, is commitment by leadership, right, and sponsorship from highest level of the organization. That's what the first best practice is, which I also learned in the digital transformation. Without that, it is difficult to get such kind of investment for doing these activities. Second, best practices, I would say, infrastructure creation is a step-by-step process. It's a time-taking process, and need to have clear strategy in order to when we are talking about digitalizing. And it's third thing is, I would say, we need to show some early success in order for creating belief or faith in the leadership. We need to identify what are those early success, or let's say low-hanging fruits, we call it as, right? So that how we are able to show them, so that the industry is getting generated, in the leadership and also in the users. Let's say we're talking about. Fourth, I would say, identify right platforms, right technology for creating such kind of infrastructure. So there are platforms which is specifically meant for, let's say better for data storages, creating data lakes. What all those platforms? There are various cloud platforms available. We identified what can be used in what places. Let's say creating apps could be one platform for data storage across data lakes, different technology. So that's what we identified. And third is, I would say the most important piece is change management and capability building. As she mentioned about, it is very, very important to understand the domain and how we upskill and reskill that existing team members in order to adopt to digital technologies, and to scale in the larger manufacturing environment. To scale, it's not about, let's say, 10-member, 15-member team responsibility. It cannot be. You cannot scale with such kind of things. So you need to have a proper plan for capability building, and to do the upskilling or reskilling of your people. Yeah, change management. Needless to say, a lot of fear. So that how we'll manage that fear? How this is actually a little bit of cultural change, right? How we navigate organization through that cultural change is a very important aspect. We will please apply the appropriate change management frameworks that are available. We use something called as ADKAR, ADKAR, is the framework that we use for change management. So these are maybe 5 or 6 best practices I would like to,
A very quick question to Namita.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, we have already exceeded the time. We have some more sessions coming up. Thank you very much. Please take the question offline. Sorry for the interruption. Thanks, Namita and Rajesh, for the excellent presentation as well as the clarification. One big round of applause. We didn't expect that we'll cross the time limit with 2 speakers around, so thanks for them. I think before we close, I think we rejoin again after 25 minutes. We start the next session. Thank you all.